It's so humid in here. I don't know why my camera keeps fogging up. Weird. So let's go ahead and start taking apart the transfer case. So I've got the transfer case right here. I need to get a lot of room to work. So I'm gonna have to clean up everything and just get all this crap out of the way, just because you don't want any contaminants, or you don't want to mismatch any parts or anything like that. So when you tear apart a transfer case, just make sure you have a good clean space to work. I normally hate wearing gloves, but I'm gonna be wearing gloves because I'm gonna be going back and forth to the camera today. So and just so you know, I have already cleaned the transfer case and I have drained most of the fluid out. Hello! I'm just gonna start taking off bolts pretty much. And just because I'm gonna have to be putting this new stuff onto the slip yoke eliminator, and it's just easier to take it off on the transfer case. So you got that little fork right there that holds it on. So I'm just gonna put that to the side, and somebody has siliconed this on. Hey, put that over there. So most of these bolts are 15 millimeter, but there's this one random 10 millimeter at the top. So I went ahead and got that out. Now that we've got everything separated, I'm going to take out the windage tray for the oil pickup. So Autumn, grab that right there. What? Pull that out. All right. So you definitely want to clean this up, because look at all the debris in there. See that? Yeah. That's right, it's nasty, ain't it? So now you can separate the back side of the transfer case right here, and then you got this whole assembly right there. I'm just going to clean up everything, because now I need to bring the new parts over here. There we go.
That was heavy. Daddy, that was really heavy.
I know.
I can fold that way.
So check that out.
I can fold that way.
Yeah, go put that in the trash can.
Where's the trash can?
Over there. So now you can see the back half of the housing here, or the back shaft, or the back side of the tail shaft here. So it's already got a seal put in. It's already got the bearing, which is really cool. This is basically how it goes right here. So you line everything up, get the nut on, you're good to go there. All right, so now that I have these gears back on, I did put the snap ring back on right there. And so now I can actually put all this back into the transfer case. And this is a good time to look at your chain and all your bearings and everything like that, just to make sure that there's no damages or anything like that. This one looks all good to go, so we're going to put it right back in. So get this lined up. Wait. Did it backwards. This way, right there. Now it's just gonna drop in just like so. Just like so. Come on, baby. There we go. Before I put anything back together, I'm going to clean up this window right there because it is pretty dirty, and you can get replacements, one of these, but who has time for all that? So I'm just gonna hit it with some brake cleaner and throw it back in. And make sure that you do not forget this step. If you do forget this step, then you're gonna be rebuilding this transfer case very soon. So I have the windage tray cleaned out. You can see right there how clean it is. So now I'm just gonna go around and just clean up everything and just make sure that it's good and clean before the other part goes on. Hold on, my kids are being quiet.
Too quiet.
What are y'all doing? Bro, what in the Dexter Morgan is going on here?
We're destroying this thing!
Oh my gosh.
He took his eyes out.
All right, so I'm gonna start sleeping with one eye open from now on. But anyway, let's get back to work on this transfer case. So something else I have to do is clean this magnet really good. So the magnet, it goes right here. And now I'm just going to go ahead and get this cleaned up. It's okay. You'll be fine. So now I'm going to take some RVT and just go all the way around, and I'm verifying that my magnet is in. I'm verifying that this string is in. I'm verifying that everything is lined up on the inside, and verifying that my oil pickup tray, those are the three critical components that you need for a successful slip yoke and eliminator install. Basically, I've got everything on here just like that. All my needle bearings are okay. I cleaned those up, got all the grit out of that. So now I can take this and just kind of keep your fingers on that so it doesn't start getting crazy. What you doing? So now I'm going to set this down and just kind of line everything up. And we'll go right in, all nice and happy, just like that. Now I can put the washers back on those bolts and go ahead and start torquing these down. All right, so I have all these torqued down. I did go ahead and rip them down with this, and then I came back with my torque wrench and I just kind of did in a star pattern just so it would seat properly. And I did go ahead and clean this up also. I should have cleaned it up before I put it on, but I just covered it up really good and cleaned it up, and it's fine. So now I'm gonna take the pump, and you see the pump has a hole right there. And obviously that's where that window tray, it's where they meet. I'm gonna slide this on just like that. And I'm going to do my best to get that on there. So you can kind of just drop them in at the same time and then take a screwdriver and just push that up into the pump there. And I can visually verify that it has been seated. Now I know it's not going to come out. And I'll tell you something that I've done. If you just bend a screwdriver like that, I've used this tool more than like anything today. So got that on. So now I'm gonna take the snap ring and drop down over the pump or over the shaft right there, and this will lock on the pump. So now I'm gonna be putting on the speed collar. I don't know what this is called. And then I'll be putting on another snap ring. Is that a little bit closer for you? So I verified all this is good. Now I need to make a gasket for right here and right there. So this has got some grease on here. It is clean, but it does have some oil. So I need to get all this oil off. That way the gasket will actually adhere to the new output housing. I'm going to take the new yoke for the rear, and I'm actually going to grease this section up right here, because it's going to be going in that seal. So I'm just going to grease that up just a little bit, and then I'm going to be putting RTV on the inside, transfer case fluid on here just so it's not going in dry, and go on the inside of the threads there. And I just like to do a good amount all the way around. And just get it all in those threads, and I like to put a little bit on the back side there. Now we can put it on. So I'm going to be putting a little bit more RTV on this, that way it just kind of spreads out a little bit more. That was a terrible job of putting it on there. Now just push that on much off the threads as possible, and I'll put a little bit on the back side of this. This is probably overkill with the RTV, but it'll be okay. RTV, Loctite, same thing. So now I'm going to tighten this down. I think it's 150 foot torque pounds, so let's get it there. So now I'll be putting the speedo gear back in, and you can actually change these right there, but I'm not worried about it right now. So just make sure you put this back in the same way that you took it out. There we go. So now I'm taking this fork and putting it back on. So the last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna get the output shaft for the front back on. What did I do with it? So I'm just going to grease this up right here with some transfer case fluid or transmission fluid, whatever you decide to use. But I am going to put RVT, but I am going to put a lot of RVT on the inside of these threads here, just like that. Just kind of get those all around in there. And then this one also has the rubber washer. That is just the highlights of getting this slip yoke eliminator on. I just verified that everything worked. I went through all the gears and everything like that. It goes into 4 high, neutral, 4 low, everything. So we're good to go there. Since I really can't do anything right now, I'm going to go ahead and get this Spartan Locker put in. Got everything kind of tore apart in the box there. Got all the components. So let's go ahead and get this in. So the first thing that we got to do is I went ahead and took the bearing caps off, and I did label them passenger and driver side. I need to get that pin out that's holding the cross pin there. So I'm just going to set it down right here. I've got a tool to get these out. Just going to pop that in and tap it with a hammer. So I've got that pin out. So now we can get the cross pin out. Now I can rotate the spider gears and go ahead and drop those out. And see, you got a washer on the back side of those. Pop these out. Just like that. And so these do have washers right there on the back side. Now I'm just gonna try to come in here and just clean this up as good as I can before I start throwing new parts in here, locker here. So I'm gonna start with these, pop those in just like that. Try to get it where y'all can see a little better, just like that. Then I'm gonna get this side in. Next, I'm gonna put these on, and make sure you put the spacer in the orientation like that. Just like so. You have these little caps right here, and you got your springs. Springs go in there, and then just pay attention to the ridge right there, because you're gonna be needing that here in a minute. So this one's ready to go in. Got a flat side right there. You got these down. You can actually bend these if you need to. Slide them in like that. So now I'm just gonna rotate until the hole for the cross pin is lined up. Let's see, right about there. So now I'm gonna pull these metal tabs out. So you heard that one click, that means it's seated. I'm gonna do the same thing to this one. See if I can get you, it'll seat. So you see right there, this one is not seated, but there it goes right there. See right there where it's seated? Now I just got to do the same thing for this side. Seated and seated. Look at that. So now you can take your cross pin and go ahead and tap it in. Make sure that you line up the hole on the cross pin with the hole on the carrier. So now I can take my cross pin and stick right there. Go ahead and drive that in. All right, so you can see where that's all the way seated, and now we just got to get the ring gear back on. So I'm just going to clean up everything really good, because I want this to be a clean mating surface there. Good enough. There we go. Now I need to get these bolts cleaned up. Now I'm going to put some Loctite on these bolts, just because you don't want to put them back in without Loctite. So I'm just going to get one on here just to hold it while I Loctite the rest of them. So I got all these torqued down properly, and so now this is ready to go back in the Jeep. So funny story, this morning my son comes in my room and wakes me up and tells me that he let the cat in the house. And this is about 5:50 something this morning, and we don't have a cat. So I get up to go see what in the world, what is in our house, to make sure it's not a bobcat. And Yeah, so I guess we have a shop cat now. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. Sorry. Okay.
So while I'm babysitting today, my kids and Pickle the cat, I'm gonna start getting this axle back together. I want to basically get this whole axle assembly ready to go back in the Jeep, so that way when it's time to do the suspension work, all I have to do is just literally slide it back and lower the Jeep down to it. So let's get to work. Are you ready, Autumn? So I have everything cleaned out with some brake cleaner here and a rag, and so now what I'm going to do is I cleaned up the carrier, and I'm going to be putting the carrier back in with the bearing caps and everything. So now I'm just going to pop this back in here. Alright, so now I'm just going to look at the markings that I put on these caps. I did clean these up also, but I'm just going to go ahead and put these on. Make sure that was correct. So now I'm going to be torquing these down to, I think it's 45 foot-pounds. Alright. So, got all this back together. Everything feels normal. The backlash feels normal. So now that everything feels really good, the backlash feels good, I'm going to go ahead and get the axle shafts in. Just make sure your shafts are clean before you stick them in.
Really? Nothing.
So the next thing that I'm going to do is put on this wheel bearing. Pop it on just like that, just the way it came off. So one thing I am going to do is put some anti-seize on these bolts before I send them in. Put her right here. Oh yeah, that looks really good. So the next thing I'm going to do is put a washer on, and then I'm going to be putting on the axle nut. So I've got that torqued down where it needs to be, and now I can put that little piece on there. Hey Easton. Hey Autumn. And now we can get the cotter pin in. And pushing right there, and that's just going to keep that axle nut from backing off ever. I like your boots.
Bruh.
Alright, so I had to take a step back, so whenever I put the rotor on, it was actually touching the knuckle right there. So I believe they gave us the wrong rotors. Let me show you. Alright, so here's the old one, and there's the new one. And you can tell right here that it is like a quarter of an inch too deep. So, yeah. So we're just going to continue working, and we'll do the brakes later. Who needs brakes anyway? So now me and Autumn are going to get the passenger side all put together. So now we are at the point where I need to paint this, just because I'm tired of this flash rusting. So I'm going to hit it with some big rig Seymour Paint. This stuff is perfect for axles and undercarriages. Basically anything up underneath a vehicle, this is absolutely perfect for. And it dries super quick. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit this whole axle with this Seymour Paint, the first coat. You ready, girl?
Yes. I'm kind of scared.
All right, here we go.
Oh.
So whenever you're painting stuff, you do the first coat real light, okay? Just like that.
Are you gonna paint this?
Mm-hmm. So you just do like a mist.
Like a mist.
Like this.
Oh!
I got everything painted up and it's had some time to dry. So now I'm just gonna take off my tape. And now I'm just gonna go back and just clean this up as good as I can with some brake cleaner. And then we'll get this diff cover back on. And I'm just getting that overspray off right there. Just enough where the gasket maker can make a good seal. Now I'm going to take the diff cover and throw up here. Take my clean bolts, run those in. Now I'm just going to lightly snug these down. That might have been too much. So I've had this Johnny joint sitting in the freezer for a couple of days and I'm hoping it'll just kind of go right on in. So whenever you're tapping those in, you can kind of hear the difference in the way it sounds. That way you know that it's seated properly and everything like that.